Over the years, Spektrum has continued to grow and advance in the world of 2.4 gigahertz technology. First with the original module systems that were available as add-ons for many popular radios, then the original DX2 and DX3, and up and above to like the DX3R, the DX3R Pro, the DX3S, the DX2S, and others. We're here today with the latest radio from Spektrum. This is the Spektrum DX4S, and this is actually a radio I've had a good amount of time to be able to test before bringing you this video here today. We had a chance to catch up with Blake Good from Spektrum, and he is the guy that really helped bring the DX4S to market. Now, I've had a chance to do some driving and testing with it, and we're going to catch up with Blake to find out some more information now on the DX4S from Spektrum. We're here today with Blake Good from Spektrum. Thanks for coming out. And
good to be here,
spend some time with us here at Hot Slots. And again, thanks to the guys from Hot Slots for letting us come out and use their track today. And one of the reasons why, again, we're here is to help introduce a new radio. And some of the folks here that have run with us may have noticed, you know, folks like myself, Seth Arnold, and John Adams with this radio here without any branding or anything on it, and that's because we were testing what you have right there. Why don't you tell us real quick, what is it that we have here today?
This is the new DX4S surface transmitter from Spektrum. It's a 4-channel transmitter that runs our new DSMR surface 2.4 gigahertz protocol.
So now this is a new DSMR protocol. It kind of builds on the DSM and DSM2 that we've used for years on the surface side, which, you know, just for you guys out there, just remember Spektrum started on the surface side with the modules and everything with
That's
DSM.
Right.
Are there any similarities between DSMR and the next generation of surface protocols and the next generation of the air protocol called DSMX?
There are. DSMR is similar to DSMX in that it's a frequency agile 2.4 gigahertz technology, which gives you the next level of robustness, reliability, and interference protection.
Now, what about backwards compatibility, though, or even cross-compatibility between DSMR and DSMX? Is there any of that going on?
No, there is no cross-compatibility because they both 2.4 gigahertz technologies have been tailored for their market. So air is specific to air, DSMX is specific to air, and DSMR is specific to surface.
Am I going to see, I know when we went from DSM to DSM2, you saw faster frame rates, improved response, you just felt more connected to the radio. Am I going to see that, and are you guys out there, are they going to see that too as they're driving with the new DSMR protocol?
Yeah, you know, a lot of the things that we did with the DSMR protocol are we made it more reliable, we made it better in high 2.4 gigahertz traffic environments, so it's more reliable, it's more robust.
So if I'm at Nationals and there's 25 people up on the driver's stand, because that happens quite frequently when you're at a big race, I don't have to worry about getting stepped on or any blockouts or anything like that from other interference that might be on the band?
Yeah, that was the idea, was to give the DSMR protocol more interference protection, so it's more reliable.
Are there any other differences between DSMR and DSM2 that folks might want to know about?
DSMR builds on DSM2, so DSM2, DSMR takes that foundation, the wideband DSSS foundation, and takes it and adds a frequency agile technology, and so that's compared to other FHSS frequency hopping spread spectrum systems, which are narrowband. The DSMR is wideband, so you even get even more reliability, more protection, and better performance.
Now, we've talked about a lot of things regarding, you know, the responsiveness and kind of racing, but this takes you guys into more of the sport level driver to begin with. First of all, it's a 4-channel radio versus 3 or 2 that we've seen in the past. Why 4 channels versus 3 or 2?
You know, it's all driven by the market. You know, people and customers are doing more with their RC vehicles, scale rigs. You have more features, more things that you want to control with your transmitter. So we've added more channels, and that just gives you that much more control from the transmitter.
So I think if I can interpret a little bit there too of what you said, for you rock crawling guys out there that are looking for something to drive a dig, a winch, you know, any of those scale accessories, you can now turn those on and off through any of the 4 channels. You've really got 2 additional accessory channels if you want to, because you've always got your steering and your throttle, but now you have 2 additional accessory channels that you can utilize too.
That's right. It's got two auxiliary channels that you can make do basically almost whatever you want. You can control them from the switches on the transmitter to shift gears, to control lights, to control winches. So it's a lot more tailorable.
So now what I'm hearing for a lot of you scale guys out there and you rock crawlers is this is really kind of set up, you know, almost for them with, you know, if they've got winches or lights or crab steering or the dig, anything along those lines. But I mean, what else is in here that will help you with the extra channel?
We've also taken another look at the mixing in the DX4S, and so we built upon the DX3S, which had basically a four-wheel steering mix. We've still got that. We've made it a little cleaner, a little easier to use. We've also added another steering mix plus a preset brake mix that makes it easy for guys to get their mixes set up. And then we've also got two programmable mixes in the transmitter as well. So
really the sky's the limit as far as the different mixes that this is capable of.
Right. Yep.
Now one of the things too, and let's talk about more of the software features that are on here, because you guys have even, on the air side again, we've had airware for quite some time, since I think the DX8 introduced that. You guys are even calling the software something specific now with DSMR. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. The DX4S is the first transmitter to feature our raceware software, which means that just like on the air side, it's updatable. So in the future, if we have new features that we need to release, there'll be a file that customers can download from our website, load that file into an SD card, put it in the transmitter, and then update their transmitter.
And that's one of the cool things too, as I mentioned, having the ability to help do some of the pre-testing on this radio. I mean, we've had a couple of software updates that these guys have sent out. Really, to go ahead and update the software, all you have to do is you pull the grip off, and kind of like on the DX3C, the DX3R Pro, right under the grip, you've got just an SD card slot right here. So, I mean, literally takes, I say about 45 seconds to a minute to do a software update. And I mean, one of the things that I thought was cool too is when you update the software, at least in the pre-production stuff, I didn't lose my model memory. Is that still the case in the production file version?
That is the case, yep.
So you don't have to worry about that.
That's right. Keep your model settings and update the software in the transmitter.
Talking about model setting, what are we looking at for model memory on this?
This has 30 model memory.
Okay.
So we've added to the DX3S had 10 model memory. So we're giving guys more memory to add more models to the transmitter.
Now with the SD card slot, can you use that to back up your profiles and your different models in there, or is that just for doing updates?
Just for updates.
Okay. Now again, let's kind of dive into the raceware a little bit. With the DX3R Pro, for example, you had a couple different frame rates that you could select in there, and you could also adjust the servo speed too. What are the different frame rates that are in this radio? Are there adjustable frame rates?
There are adjustable frame rates, and it's similar to the DX3S. The fastest frame rate in the DX3S was 11 milliseconds. You still get that with the DX4S. Also, but there are some differences with the DX4S in DSMR mode. The two frame rates are 11 and 22 milliseconds. You'd only really need to use 22 millisecond frame rate, which is the slower frame rate, with some older analog servos that don't really like that faster frame rate. And then depending upon what type of receiver you're bound to, you may also see a 16.5 millisecond frame rate instead of 22 millisecond, and that's with like DSM or DSM2 receivers.
Now, one of the questions I've seen a lot on the forums, on different videos that we've done, questions about a feature that showed up first on the DX3S and it's back here again on the DX4S. And I just don't think people quite understand what it is and what it does. Throttle punch.
Throttle punch.
This is your one time to go ahead, explain to everybody what is throttle punch, why is it important, and what does it do for you?
It's a good question, because we do get a lot of people that wonder what's throttle punch for, and it's basically on nitro cars when you have a little bit of slop in the linkage. So when you pull the throttle and you have that little bit of delay before your carburetor actually opens and you get that the power from your engine. Well, throttle punch, you can actually program in a preset jump, almost, if you will, in your throttle. And so when you pull throttle, it jumps to that little further travel position, and it takes out that slop in your linkages and stuff, so you get better response from your engine.
Okay, so and that's something, like I say, I know a lot of you folks have asked, and it's primarily a nitro feature.
Primarily a nitro feature, correct.
But another nitro feature that's on here that folks with like the original Losi 10T and now the Team Losi Racing 10 SCT, that sure looks like a ROS button to me right there.
That's right, yep, it is a ROS button, so it's still compatible with all the vehicles that have the Losi ROS system in it. And I think we're going to talk about in a little bit, but this button can also be assigned to some different functions too if you don't use the ROS feature.
Well, and let's talk about that too, because one of the things with, again, starting with the DX3R, the original, not even the Pro, one of the cool things was you could assign your different grip dials different functionalities. Like, for example, on all my radios, just from what I've personally gotten used to, this is always my brake adjustment to the right of the wheel. I know a lot of people throw it on the grip dial. Some people want their steering throw up here as well, or they want steering, throttle, and they'll use this for an auxiliary. I mean, you could really customize any of the switches and knobs in here to do pretty much any feature that you're looking for.
That's right, and you know, one of the things that our customers told us is that they, like you said, they want different functions on different switches. Not everyone's the same, and so you can do that with the DX4S. If you want your steering rate on A switch or D switch, you can change it in the software. It makes it real easy to change, and there's a whole bunch of other features that you can basically assign to each switch. So
now, I know one of the big, both literally and figurative questions that I'm going to have for you here is backwards compatibility with DSM and DSM2. First of all, is it in the radio? It is in the radio. So if customers already have a bunch of DSM or DSM2 or even Marine receivers in their vehicles, the DX4S will still work with those just fine. What about I mean, we've got a big truck from Losi. It's 5th scale, 4-wheel drive, big gas burning engine. Lots of power, 5T. Yeah. It's got built-in telemetry on it. Will this work with telemetry? It will. Really? It works with, the DX4S is compatible with telemetry on the DSM receivers like the SR3300T. Okay. That's in the Losi 5. Now, so then does this come with any telemetry, you know, either accessories, receivers, or modules right out of the box? No, the DX4S does not, which is different than the DX3S. The DX4S comes with the SR410 4-channel DSMR receiver. Okay. Now, and let's talk about the receiver here too. First of all, I noticed it kind of splits the difference in size between the SR3520, the little mini size receiver. That's actually what I've been using for the most part in my cars, and the SR3100. It's like right between those two receivers. But I do notice it does have that kind of whisker antenna from the SR3100. Is this also, I think you guys called it a coaxial antenna? Coaxial, that's right, yep. And the benefit of this is the tip part here, which is about 31 millimeters, is the part that receives the signal. And it makes it a little more versatile. So if you want to get that antenna up and out of a vehicle like the 5 where you can get a little better reception, it allows you to do that. But also if you don't need all that to get the antenna up as high in a smaller vehicle, you can do that as well and keep the antenna coiled up inside your vehicle. So it's a little more versatile. But it's also important to note too, if you guys are installing this like the SR3100, you don't want to cap that off if you're coming up through an antenna tube, because you can accidentally damage that filament that's inside the antenna itself. Yeah, that's right. So if this is the part that receives the signal, you definitely want to protect it, and you don't want to bend it, cut it, break it. Now, with DSM, again, kind of comparing DSMR to DSMX, and not all these comparisons are going to be applicable, I know that. With DSMX, if I had a DSMX transmitter, I could use it with a DSM or DSM2, or actually just a DSM2 receiver. On the flip side, if I had a DSMX receiver, it would still work with a DSM2 transmitter. Is that the case here? Can I use this with my my original DX2 that I have from 4 years ago? Yeah, it's a good question, because with our receivers on the surface side, we've always kept them mode specific. So we have DSM receivers, we have DSM2 receivers, and we have Marine receivers, and each of those receivers has to have a compatible transmitter. In the past, when we first came out, we had some transmitters that were DSM only, and then we had a transmitter that would do DSM2 and DSM, but you couldn't use a DSM2 receiver with a transmitter that only did DSM. So we've continued in that same thought process, and the DSMR receivers only work with DSMR transmitters. So also kind of piggybacking on that then, is it true to say then this is really a 4-mode transmitter, because it'll do DSM, DSM2, Marine, and DSMR? That's right. DSMR, basically the way to look at it is DSMR works with all the surface protocols that we have out there. Okay. So it works with DSMR, DSM, DSM2, and Marine. For the boating guys out there, I mean, we've really kind of told them that you need to go Marine receivers if you're going to use a Spektrum Marine compatible transmitter in a boat. Can I use this now on a boat, or should I still stick with the Marine protocol receivers?
You can use this in a boat. That's one of the another benefit of the DSMR protocol.
Really?
Is that it's compatible with boats. It works well on water, so you don't have to go buy marine receivers anymore with DSMR protocol.
So I don't need to worry. I mean, this only has one antenna, and that was one of the things about the marine receivers is I had the one whisker that went high and the other one that went along the hull. I don't need that anymore with this?
Well, what you don't see here is there's actually this receiver does have two antennas. So you have
really?
one outside and you have one inside. So you still get that same similar technology, but with the DSMR protocol, it's more robust, more reliable. You don't have to go buy marine-specific receivers anymore. You can use the DSMR receiver.
Now let's talk about the radio itself, because it's an evolution and a revolution in some different ways. I mean, this looks very much almost like the DX3S, the DX3C to a point too, especially with the knob on the side here. What's up? I'm used to the foldy down antenna. Where'd my antenna go?
Yeah, the foldable antenna's gone. We switched to what we call just an integrated antenna. It's more robust. It doesn't break off as easy. So that was the main idea, and we wanted to give it kind of a fresh new look too. So.
And now, is this a pre-production sample because it's all black? I mean, Spektrum transmitters are silver with a little bit of detailing. This is all black. What's going on?
Yeah. This is an actual the production color transmitter. It's going to be black, so it gives it a nice sleek look, and we think it's going to be a little more scratch resistant and a little bit more rugged for the surface market.
Now, one of the things with, again, going back, DX3R Pro, DX3S, different grips for different people's size hands. Does this come with just one set of grips? I mean, we showed you guys earlier how you can pull the grip off to access the SD card. Can you change grips on there, and what grips are compatible with it?
You can change grips. The same grips that were compatible on the DX3S also work on the DX4S. The DX4S out of the box, it comes with 3 grip sizes.
Okay.
A small, a medium. The medium's installed on the transmitter in the box, and then a larger one. Similar sizes to what the DX3S had. What
about, I know another popular feature that people like to do is they like to do the different wheels and whatnot. And I know Dynamite has got a number of great looking wheels specifically for both the DX3R and the DX3R Pro and the DX3S. Little bit different mounting hub between those. Which does this use? Can it use either of them?
It can use the Dynamite wheels that are compatible with the DX3S. So this has the same mounting hub as the DX3S.
Another cool thing that I know a lot of you guys have been asking out there too is all the Spektrum surface radios to this point have all run, at least since the DX3R, the original one, 4 AA batteries. A lot of you guys have been asking for LiPo, and we got a nice little surprise for you guys here where, now this is an optional item, but there's a LiPo pack in this particular transmitter. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this optional feature?
Sure, it is an optional feature. So out of the box, the DX4S will come with a AA tray.
Here, and I've got batteries. This on mine. So you guys can see that right there, just 4 AA, same as what we're used to.
Same as what you're used to. It's lightweight, convenient to use AA's, but for guys that want a rechargeable option, you can. It's a battery you have to go buy separately, but it's a 2400 milliamp hour, 2S LiPo. Basically, the AA tray comes out with 2 screws. You get your LiPo battery, plug it in. There's some foam in there that kind of helps protect the battery a little bit. Put on your battery cover and you're ready to go.
Now, one thing though too is the DX4, there's no charging slot on it. So how do you charge that LiPo then?
With the battery, when you buy the battery, there's a charge adapter included, and you can charge it with any LiPo charger. And
one of the cool pieces of technology that went into that you were telling me about is the fact that it actually has an integrated balancer in the charge lead too, so you don't need 2 leads going from your charger to your battery anymore.
That's right, yep. So it has one main lead, you plug it in, and it'll balance the 2 cells.
So let me ask you this, who is this radio really intended for? I mean, DSMR, it's implied race, but there's a lot of sport level features here. Who is this radio really going to suit the needs of?
This radio was intended for the weekend guy who's bashing, who wants a nice full-featured transmitter. It's also intended for guys who are racing on the weekends, entry-level type racers, intermediate racers, because it's got some great features in there as well for the race guys. So it kind of hits that mid-level market.
If I have a DX3R Pro already, am I going to want to switch to this, or do I want to keep what I have?
The DX3R Pro is still a great radio. The DX3R Pro still has the fastest frame rate, the lowest latency. So if you're racing, the DX3R Pro with the DSM2 protocol and the 5.5 millisecond frame rate is still a great option for racers.
Now, and I'm just assuming here, DSMR isn't just something as simple like a software, so I can't expect to see that on a DX3R Pro down the road. There's different hardware, RF boards, things like that have gone into here too, right?
Correct. The DSMR protocol isn't, there's not going to be upgrades for transmitters that are out there because of the reasons you mentioned.
As you can see, the DX4S is a really feature-packed radio, and DSMR looks to really take Spektrum into the next generation of radio systems with its frequency agile system that it has in here. I've had a chance to use this radio at hot slots, as we mentioned there with Blake. I've also had a chance to use it at some of the other tracks in the area, and I haven't had a single hit, glitch, lockout, fade, or brownout. It's been a really solid system. And as you can see from the track at hot slots, yes, we have done extensive testing on carpet too without any issues whatsoever. So I am sure you guys and gals out there are going to absolutely love the DX4S from Spektrum. If you do have any comments or questions about anything that you've seen here today or anything RC in general, please feel free to email us at editors@horizonrc.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.